I am here, and I am a sad clown. I'll be getting started in a moment, going on cam. But come in, take a seat. We will be talking about something today, another stream of consciousness video where I will be talking about this matter as it relates to experiences that I've had dealing with I think just navigating identity politics. I think that's kind of what I've gotten the most experience with this in dealing with the kind of fake individualities and fake individualism that so many people are wrapped up in. So let's see where the conversation goes. I think it's going to be interesting. I think it could go in a couple of different directions. What a day. It's been beautiful. There's been a lot of sun coming into my apartment this afternoon, which has been cheerful for me. Put a little extra pep in my step this afternoon. I got into a slump a little bit. It is what it is. But we march on and we keep going as best we can. So yeah, everybody take a seat. We're going to go hopefully deep tonight talking about this matter. Now, I generally avoid the kind of situations where this is going to come up, where I'm going to be in a circumstance where somebody is going to ask me my pronouns. And I know that this is something a lot of people are dealing with. And I know to other people, they're going to be like, what are you talking about? Because it's something I think that exists in certain bubbles and then doesn't exist in other ones. And it's just been pushed for such a long time in the culture here that a lot of people take it for granted. And then, it's really hard to navigate when it does come up. The fact that some people like myself are uncomfortable with the practice. But generally, it's one of those things that people engage in. It's these weird liberal rituals, and that this isn't the only one. But this is kind of my starting off point, is the thing about the pronouns and having meetings start with this behavior and having people meet one another and ask that of one another right away. It's so strange and I think because it's just, all of the weird rituals that we get into that we can talk about, they're all strange, but this one is just, particularly strange because it's, I guess a lot of them are new, but then there's nothing new really under the sun, is there? It's not as if we're the first generation to deal with these problems. They have existed time and time again, where people are so invested in being politically correct that they get themselves into these weird tizzies about how to, in every interaction, voice their politics. I mean, it does feel like that dealing with this. It has felt like that for me because I have to, at that point when this does come up, I have to figure out how am I going to deal with it. All right, how am I going to deal with this? And like, how do you deal with it when somebody is like using they pronouns and you have to deal with them on a regular basis? Ah. This is not to denigrate anybody who does that, but it does call into question certain things for me when somebody is doing that. Because to me, it's like such a modern thing, and also just kind of for me, it indicates like an unexamined position that somebody is holding about themselves. But maybe I shouldn't be too hard on them anyway, because how many of us are stuck in that thing of, doing that? So it's difficult to navigate. And then there's also like the political ramifications of the pronouns thing. So it's like, if you don't want to participate in this, what are you saying? And is it because like you don't agree with something trans, or you're not an ally or something like that? Because that's often what comes out of that, where it's like you have to, okay, since I don't want to, give my pronouns or participate in the charade when I meet people, like, because I don't want to do this, and I'm actively saying I'm not going to do it. It's not the fact that you don't want to do it, because a lot of people don't want to do it, but they just do it because it's everybody else is doing it. So monkey see, monkey do, right? A lot of people are in that kind of mindset about it. They don't ever think to like stop what's going on and make people like consider why they're doing it, and also consider the fact that other people are not like them. It's amazing to me that like it's just the people who are like the people who claim to be like the biggest allies of the marginalized and oppressed always are the most intolerant of people who are not like them. I found that like to be the case. It's this interesting paradox that exists within that kind of extremity of consciousness that people have. When you get on that path, you become completely intolerant. And it can exist in any person, really. It doesn't really matter where on the political spectrum you lie, but there's a lot of people that, get so stuck that they just cannot tolerate someone thinking differently or having a different feeling about it or something like that. They're just convinced that either you accept what they believe or you're wrong. And it is intense to deal with those kind of people. It really is. And that's often what I've come up with when I don't participate, when I, say, or when I ignore. A lot of the times I've ignored people. Like, when it would first start happening, because it's been happening in my life like over 10 years. I remember wanting to like signing up to volunteer. Yeah, I was signing up to volunteer at the Feminist Bookstore, which has now closed. And I went to a meeting for volunteers, and they asked our pronouns. And there were only two of us, and since I went first, I just ignored it and like answered the other questions, and nobody pushed it. And so then the girl after me, like, she didn't answer it either. And we were very different kind of women, like, which was cool. And I appreciated that about the space, because it just had so much potential to be like a positive space for women generally to go, and like it just became so raggedy and like so destroyed because of the extreme politics of the people that took over it, you know. Their extreme weirdo politics and Puritanism took this space that should have been a community space and made it into something like awful. And, you know, the thing about it too was like when they decided to go out of business, essentially, when they decided to shut down, like the people who took it over with their weird Puritan anarchist politics, they actually had made this statement like it was a good thing that this resource in the community had been shut down, because it was founded on the principles of white feminism. And excuse me, like, it was inherently going to be a bad thing. Like, it was just so ridiculous. Like, you know, they couldn't fix it because the structures of it were established by white feminism. And I'm like, looks like since white feminism left this establishment, it's gone downhill considerably. And that's the truth. So whatever. I remember like going into that place. So like, okay, when I went into for like my first volunteer shift, the woman that was supposed to like open up the shop didn't show up. So I like traveled across town, because I was living in like outer southeast Portland at the time, and I went up to North Portland to go volunteer. Now, that's a long trek. And they weren't even there. So after that, I, you know, declined to work with them. But I went in there a few times, you know, after that experience, because it was, you know, a resource, an interesting community center. You know, they had vendors and they had the like library, and they started censoring that library too. They took out like all the problematic texts. You know, I'm like, what's the point of having a feminist library that's available to the public if you're going to be censoring, if you're going to be deciding that certain things can't be read? And they really want to silence, because this is the thing, like the 60s women's lib like writings and materials are incendiary. Okay, they are like, they will set your ass on fire. Like, these women were not messing around. They were very, you know, clear. And that is something that is lacking from the feminism of today. It really is. Like, they were clear in their, like, what they wanted. And this is the thing, like, again, white feminism, and they call it white feminism as if women, it's just, it's so offensive. It's so offensive. Like, but yeah, I remember checking out, because I got, when it first opened, I also, like, I checked out some books, and I got a book by Sonia Johnson. I got her book Lesbian Nation, I think. They had a copy of it, so I read that. And and then what else was there? There were some other like books like that. I remember not Sonia Johnson, excuse me. Excuse me, not Sonia Johnson. Oh God, what's her name? Lesbian Nation. Come on, Terry. I have another one of her books. I don't know if I can see it. I never got a copy of that in my collection. Oh, what's her name? I feel bad. I need to look it up right now. My brain isn't what it used to be. It's Jill something, I think. I just want this for the record. I don't want to leave her down. Jill Johnston. That's right, Jill Johnston. Sonia Johnson, Jill Johnston. Yeah, 1973. Wow. Okay. So yeah, the book is just really about her life, and it's not like Lesbian Nation, the feminist solution. All right. Like just, I checked out that book and a couple others. They were kind of like older books though. So, because that's what I was interested in. I'm always interested in historical stuff anyway. Like I enjoy reading that. I've even read, like the works of like, well, I don't want to get into that now. I don't want to get into a discussion about like that. That's not the purpose of this video. We'll do a book recommendation another day. Hi, everyone. Sorry, I'll acknowledge the chat. So, blessed be he. You like my hair to the side? It's not really a new style. It's just I put my hair up. So, how deep down the feminist hole do you go? Please don't go too far. You don't want to end up like me. I know too much. Women have forgotten their place in society. Yeah, everybody has. Were blacks not femmes in the 60s? That's based. No, they were. Women of women's liberation was, it came out of the civil rights movement. Like it was these things, that's where it started. So, at least, that's where a lot of the women who were later involved in women's liberation got their start politically. They were working like in different civil rights organizations. So, and they experienced, it was a lot of it was a reaction to the sexism and like, just the frustrations, I think, of their lives at that time, their constrictions they felt, and like the passion they felt. I mean, that was a very wild generation. We don't really give them the credit and like that they had, but they had so much energy and like they wanted to change the world. It's kind of, which is, foolish. But it is what it is. So, but I'm still interested in that history, especially back then, I was very interested in it. But I remember like going to check out and then like the weirdo working behind the counter came in and was, asking me, what I was looking at, and then, oh, what sections were you looking in? And then was like, did you think of getting anything from this section? And then pointed to the queer section, like the section that was labeled queer. And I'm like, no. And I have a book like that says lesbian on it, but that's not queer enough apparently, because it came from like a different section. So anyway, these fools. So anyway, yeah, then they ended up coming out that they were like getting rid of certain materials because anytime anybody reported something that might be offensive, like obviously at first they had Mary Daly and like other important feminist scholars, but then they started, chipping that stuff away. Because God forbid women like read and figure out for themselves where they stand on these like very important issues, or God forbid women understand that there's like more than one opinion out there about something, other than the straw man opinion. So I'm going off. And then so yeah, I had that weird experience. And then I also had another experience where I went into that place and like as soon as I came in and I was with like two other women, like they were just it was like a scary looking white anarchist vegan dude that was behind the counter working. And I swear to God, he was glaring when we came in. Like he just did not want us there. And he was like sizing us up or something. And he found us wanting. So it's tragic what happened to that space because it was like a community space. Events used to be held there. Women used to come in and from the community, with their babies and like sit and talk and like, sell their art and crafts and like, independent publishers would bring their zines. It was a place that served the community in some capacity. So it's, it's sad when these things go, especially when, there's all this like political strife behind it. So anyway, the propagation of false identities. That's just how I feel, when I'm asked to share my pronouns. That's just how I feel. I'm like, okay, that has nothing to do with my identity. That has nothing to do with, like, to me, it feels like I am validating other people's false identities and individualism when I participate in that. So I don't want to do that. That doesn't feel good to me. That feels like I'm betraying my spirit when I do that. That feels like I am not in alignment with truth, when I do that. And people, don't react well when you don't participate in that nonsense. That's a good point. Wow. Women are just human beings that aren't ready to go immediately. That is so true. I do take a little time to get ready. That's so true. How can we hijack the cultural Marxism fetish and redirect its energy for good? Oh, not cultural Marxism. Why? What did Marx do to deserve this? Why is Marx getting all the blame for this? This is beyond his wildest dreams. Marx would never put his pronouns in his bio. Can you imagine, like, if Karl Marx had a Twitter? What would his bio say? I'm sure somebody created a false one. Actually, I know for a fact people have. I remember back in the day, like having these accounts and they'd just be like named after different revolutionaries and they'd like retweet my stuff because I was so badass. Back in my glory days, good God, what do I sound like? But yeah, I just remember all the fake accounts that used to be on there. Some of them were good though. Anyway, reminiscing. Fake individualism, that's another one. Hey, you ain't that man. You ain't that historical figure. What are you doing? I don't know. I think like the pendulum will swing. People will get tired of and react, and then it'll swing in the opposite direction. I can feel it building. I just think people need to get tired. But that's the problem. Like, this is the problem. There's like so many people who are not tired of it, and every year there's new people that get sucked into it. Every year there's a new generation indoctrinated into more and more of this, like these weird rituals and behaviors, these cultural behaviors. Another one that comes to mind is like the land acknowledgement. That before an event, it's like you have to give a land acknowledgement, right? You can't just get started. You have to acknowledge that you're on stolen land. And it's like, okay, well, what does that do? I'm not, what does it do? Does it bring the people who died back? No, they're dead. They would have been dead anyway. Does it do something now other than like what does it do? I just don't understand like what it's doing when we give a land acknowledgement, like, hey, this land that you're currently on is this, that, or the third. Like, if somebody wants to explain what it does, it sounds like something that makes people feel good. It's like, yeah, I acknowledge your victimhood here. Like, I acknowledge. I don't know. What is it about? Like, it is just another fake ass thing that people do, and then we have to do it. And if you don't do it, then people are gonna like about you. Like, she didn't give her pronouns. When she was asked her pronouns, she says she doesn't do that. Nah. She didn't give a land acknowledgement at the beginning of the event. Well, like, that's so problematic. What about the indigenous people? Like, I mean, like, what else? There's so much of this. It's so stupid. Vasco is on the DL. Alex, I'm so sorry. Yeah, some people, not many, but I've seen people like in my employee, they'll have them in their like email. It's not common though, and I try not to notice it. I try not to think about it, but it does. I've seen it too. People are on it, but I haven't seen it in like, I guess, yeah, I haven't seen it in any like usernames. I really rue the day that that's going to happen. And if it does happen, and we're going to have a serious conversation, because that's going to be very hard for me to deal with. Not drinking the Kool-Aid. Good for you. If you don't drink the Kool-Aid, you don't have to deal with that. Oh, okay. Yeah. Y'all are lucky. I have to go through. I'm in Portland. I go through it. I have to deal with it. Like, I got to deal with like the insane liberals. I have to deal with like the really crazy ass liberals, like not normal ones. Like, and not just the liberals, I have to deal with like the anarchists. Like, And it's like you never know exactly how far they're going to go with their like extreme ideas, or how like, you know, what am I trying to say? Like, I never know how when you meet somebody here, they could be a totally normal liberal, or they could be like crazy radical. You just don't know how, and you never know with each person what their particular individual politics are. So, some people may, be oriented more towards one kind of, identity politic over another. And it's just a lot to navigate and to not step on people's toes. And, a lot of the times people have to give their opinion. Oh, Alex, that's hard. Riding with Biden. That just sounds terrible. Oh yeah, that's it. That is so irritating. I mean, thankfully it does. We get little things about it, but they're not too pervasive. But yeah, it can be a lot. Like, and all the new holidays we have to remember, and then like they give us Juneteenth, but then they take away Columbus Day. Like, maybe I would have preferred Columbus Day to Juneteenth, which I was already celebrating before. Anyway, so like, I I don't know like what to do. I can tell them what to think. I can tell them what to think. I can't make them think what to think. You lived in Tacoma. I love Tacoma. Such a beautiful little city. I do love it. There's so many gorgeous buildings downtown. Uh, and the smell of the mills. It's just beautiful, the water. And I love how crazy it is. Like, Tacoma is next level crazy. It's just a whole mood. Like, the people, the landscape, those gorgeous, like the downtown city, just the it's like full of characters. You know what I mean? It's like a really interesting little place. Yeah, Tacoma it's one of those places. When they talk, they just finish their sentences and then they'll shut up. Mm. Yeah, Nunya. I love the Nunya Corporation. I too work for the Nunya Corporation. Oh my God, really? And all you have to do to like for people to think you're a Republican is like tell them the truth about something that they just assume you believe too. It's so funny. Like, you don't even have like I know a ton of people like think that they're like oh yeah, I know. Isn't it amazing? It's like, wow, at least I had some common sense. I know it is a little bit ghetto. But it's charming too. It's like it's ghetto, but there's like heart. I remember actually, like, I foolishly took a Greyhound bus from Vancouver, BC to Portland. like coming back. I think going up, I took a Bolt bus, which is like way easier. But for some reason, I booked a Greyhound. Worst mistake of my life. Greyhound is ghetto. But our bus broke down in Tacoma. I had totally forgotten that it was Tacoma that we broke down in. And we were there from like 11 something to like 2 something, waiting to get a replacement bus. And this is like at night. It was awful. Oh, what an experience. Well, I've read this book many times. You're telling me to never tell people the truth, always be fake, but from the shadows assert yourself. I mean, I don't know. I have no problem like being honest with people. It doesn't bother me. I mean, sometimes I'll be fake for a laugh or like for fun, but I don't, it's not. If people don't like, they can't help but like me. They're going to like me regardless. Like, if they don't like me right now, they're going to end up, and you know, they're going to end up loving me by the end. So it is what it is. So they can pretend to be a hater for now, but I know. I know how they're really going to feel. So I could be the divergent. Okay, so again, this is all just like false individualism. You know, these are false identity things that people take on just so that they can assert their difference, you know, as if their difference isn't apparent, as if the fact that they're an individual doesn't speak for itself. And there's nothing like unique or interesting about it. That's the thing that's like, you know, if you're going to be an individual, why are you such a freaking conformist? You know, why are you so into doing all these things that just propagate a collective mindset? Because, you know, I think a lot of people get sucked into doing this because they are collectivists, you know, they have this kind of left-wing collectivist sympathies, and because of that, they lose sight of their own individuality, who they really are as an individual, you know, their real identity, which is given to them by God. You know, they forget the fact that they are an image bearer of God, and they make idols out of these worldly identities, and you know, they get really perturbed and confused when other people don't need these things to feel secure. They get very, very startled by that. And so then their response is to, you know, go after the actual individual. Y'all have been talking quick. Whoa. I'd look away for a couple minutes and y'all go off. It's so funny. Being well adjusted to the new norm, mentally illness. Oh, I think I understand what you mean. Yeah. It's definitely not. It's people wonder why a lot of young people are so stressed out, and like full of anxiety and just fear and stuff. Like tap dancing around these extremely narcissistic identity politics it's like going through a minefield, an emotional minefield of stress with other people. And if you like step on people's toes about it, like the histrionics, the backbiting, the labeling, the canceling, it's a lot. And I think, a lot of them, it's really hard to like go through life and not do that to someone, not offend someone. So, eventually you're going to offend someone, and it's going to, the fact that you cause offense to someone is going to damage your identity and your sense of who you are. And also, it could very well cost you your livelihood, your community, your friend network. If you step through this wrongly. So the level of stress and anxiety just from that alone is, it's hard to know what the like psychological toll of that is. And then there's, everything else that they're bombarded with, like the constant fear propaganda. Like, a lot of them are a mess, and you just, you want to unplug them and set them outside to roam for a while. Yeah, there is. I think it's also just a way that people intimidate as well. I totally think that's another way. It's just another way people like intimidate and grab power for themselves. They hold that over your head like, oh, I'll expose you. I'll expose you for being different. I'm such a good, tolerant, liberal person. I'm so accepting and non-judgmental. But look at me while I destroy someone who doesn't think like me. That's a nice quote. If you have love, it will be there to protect you. That is true. It is important to have love, and it will protect you. Because it helps show you the right way of dealing with people. That's the thing about it. Like, helps you be clear about, what the most loving thing is to do in a situation. And the most loving thing to do in a situation is, it's, usually the right thing, or it's always been the right thing in what I've seen, from what I've seen. You're checking for catty women. Tomas, why? Why? Catty women are everywhere. And that's a big part of it too. That's a big part of it too. Thank you, Matthew. They're usually more deep than most, even if you're a mess. I have to get my wisdom somehow. I must live. It would make a good skit, some PC bullying. It would be really terrifying. horror comedy. It is something to behold. I remember when I got lectured about pronoun usage, and what did he say to me? What did that guy say to me? He's like, well, giving your pronouns is nothing. We do it. He's like, you do it everywhere you go. And I'm like, I don't do it everywhere I go. What the hell are you talking about? It never comes up. Like, where are you going, weird middle-aged white man, that you have to give your pronouns all the time? That's crazy. Like, that, isn't that like, this was my perspective, in the situation at the time. I was like, you're like literally this dude. Like, does it, like, I'm like, how can you be a man and like be okay with like that? Like, I can see why girls do it, and I can see like why weird, like, fringe leftist men do it. But I don't understand why like a normal man would say that to me. Like, it just was so bizarre. He was like, well, you give your pronouns everywhere you go. It's no problem. Like, who the hell are you to tell me what's a problem to me or not? Like, obviously, it's a problem to me. I don't agree with the idea that people can pick and choose what I am to perceive about them. Excuse me. No, your self concept doesn't override my perception. Sorry. It's so rude. Like, that's really what it comes down to, like, about this particular topic, and why the pronouns thing just irritates me. It's another imposition of it's an imposition onto the individual. It's an imposition onto the individual's sovereignty. No, you don't get inside my head and tell me what I see. If I see a man in front of me, I see a man. If I see a woman in front of me, I see a woman. And I'm sorry, if you think you're in the middle, you're not. I either see a man or a woman. And like, if you don't want me to call you something, okay. If you like, if we're interacting and you don't want me to call you something, and if we're interacting and you don't want me to like call you a different name or something, okay, we can have that conversation. But how I perceive you is my business and not yours. That's just how I feel about that matter. Is that fair? I think that's more than fair. Like, I don't have any control of how that person perceives me. Basic. And I'm not trying to. Man, y'all been going off. I have to scroll up. Yep. 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 They are. They are. They love it. They get excited. They're Puritans. Puritanical. Dang, okay. I like this comment. If you make yourself indispensable, none of that matters. That is true. Terry has a lot of subscribers. I do have a lot of subscribers, but not many viewers. I shouldn't say that. Like over, a month's time, I do get a number of views, but like my videos themselves, or at least my live streams, maybe if I did more short content videos, but I'm just not mentally in the space where I can make that kind of content right now. All right. And this kind of content that I'm doing, I'm enjoying. I like streaming. It's fun. It's different. I think it's more natural. I don't really myself enjoy content that is short. I mean, sometimes I do. I don't want to say I don't enjoy that, but like, I think for the kind of topics I want to talk about, they're going to take time. And it's kind of like, again, stream of consciousness, participation. That's what I see it as. It's like a consciousness session when we get together here. Where is Amy? I don't know. I don't know where she's at tonight. She'll probably be around. We'll see. We'll hope for her to come in. Why do American white women hate American white men? This is such a good question. Okay, let's talk about this. Let's talk about this. Because it came up today. I think it was on Jesse's show this morning, Jesse Lee Peterson's show, where somebody was asking like why I don't know, something about like why white women get with black men or why black men are getting with white women. I don't know. But it's interesting. I do think a lot of them, and again, I want to clarify, I don't think that in the right context, there's anything wrong with an interracial relationship at all. I want to put that out there. And if it's done for the right reasons, and the connection and the arrangement is, solid, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. However, I do think a lot of people get into these relationships unconsciously and without awareness of the motivations. So I do think that there is a lot of programming that there's a lot of like brain manipulation and control, brainwashing, manipulation that is out there that I think specifically white women go under. We're indoctrinated with a victim complex, but we are also, seen as an oppressor in a lot of, regards, in terms of like all the other different identities that are out there. White women are seen as like, we're seen, we're put in that position of oppressor in a lot of contexts as well. At least, in this kind of like culture war that we're under. This is what I see going on. So because of that, I think a lot of white women develop an aversion to white men, because if they attach themselves to a white man, they're essentially aligning themselves with these quote unquote systems of white supremacy and patriarchy. Okay. So if white women are attaching themselves strongly to these things, then they're seen as somehow just choosing to be an oppressor, and it's a way that they can get marginalized and attacked. So I think there's an aversion that develops from drinking this Kool-Aid, as it were. I think also, a lot of white women hate their fathers, so they're rebelling against white men. They project their disappointment or anger at their fathers out on to all men. And so because white men specifically, are the same race as their fathers, that's who gets it the most. So I think that's part of it as well. Part of it is a family issue, a home issue, and a lot of it is cultural indoctrination and like brainwashing. So I think that's what it is. I mean, and the other thing is too, like, if a white woman is to experience male violence, it's most likely to be a white man, just because that's who's in proximity to her. So if women have had any negative experiences with men, they're more likely to be within the race of, whatever they are, just by proximity. So I think that might have something to do with it as well. But it's a many-headed beast. It's a beast with many heads that have to be slayed. I know. It's impossible because what's correct is always changing. Our perceptions of others' perceptions of ourselves is evil and assumed. That's so right. That's so true. That's so real. If you're thinking that far into somebody else, you need to mind your business. You know what I mean? Because that's evil. That's what it is. When you start to worry about that, and maybe in certain contexts, it's good to consider, other people. I think it's important to consider other people, of course. You do want to care what the perception of people that you have to deal with on a regular basis is. Sure, you want those people to have a good perception of you. But, some perceptions are just not any of our business. You think I'm spicy? Yeah, I can get a little spicy. Yep. Yeah, it really is. It is because, like, so much gets lost. I can't stand those videos where people just are so quick and, like, to the point. I mean, it can be good, but, like, something gets lost, especially with certain topics. They need to be fleshed out. They need to be discussed. They need to be chewed on, They need to be digested. They don't come all in one go. Yeah, she's evil. That woman is evil. I ugh. But I remember when she was running for president, and like when people told me that they were excited about her, I just remember like the fact that people, I just remember just being like so offended because she's so damn evil. You know what I mean? Like, and it's not like, other, people on stage with her, it's not like other people in that game aren't evil as well. It's not like her male contemporaries aren't evil as well, but it's just like, again, women have a capacity for evil that is so beyond the pale. And like with her, she's just such a like, I think, I liked her so much at first when I was a young woman. I'm seeing her as first lady and like watching her, how she dressed, how elegant she was, how she carried herself. But like the way she pursued her own career and the things she has done is just, she's ruthless, and it's clear that anyway, yeah, I agree with you about Hillary Clinton. I know, and the fact that, this is the thing too, like with identity politics, you have to support these people, right? Because they're running under the Democratic ticket, and they're women. Hey, welcome to the chat, Frederick. Oh, I didn't see you. You were commenting when I was talking about this earlier. Frederick says that Black men treat white women better than white men do. So, okay. I mean, I don't know. I do know that statistically it doesn't seem very good for white women who well, but again, as I said, if it's right, it's right. And I don't think people should avoid an interracial relationship if that's where they're getting, what they need. And this is funny. White men are sweet. They love their mothers, and the women are jealous. They do love their mothers a bit too much, I must say. No, it is who is y'all. Y'all are so funny. Are you picking on Frederick? Random assemblages of Black people. I concur. I concur. I don't think race mixing is that popular, and I live in a city. I don't know. I mean, again, my cousin just got married to a woman who is from, where is she from? I think my aunt said Java. And I just saw the wedding pictures. It was happening a few days ago. I could not get down there, but it looked beautiful. And she's gorgeous. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But I'm happy for them. So hello, Tar Baby Yoda. Sup? We are talking about the propagation of false individualism. You're learning Stoicism. Yeah, that's good. I think it's rewarding. It's Christianity without the gospel. No, I haven't seen Norm Macdonald's roasting of the Clintons. Is he laughing? Haha, I think he took that from Don Rickles. Oh, Don Rickles. Did you say you're attracted to black guys like Freddie? I don't know what Freddie looks like. Freddie looks just like George Floyd in the face, wouldn't you agree? Stop, you crazy. Glad I'm not. Okay, is this a derogatory term? Come on, let's not call people names. Come on. You know, I okay. My thing is, you know, my thing is just, you know, it's a bit deeper than all of that. So, you know, I don't know what Frederick looks like. And I don't know what you look like either. So you're talking a lot of smack for somebody who I've never seen. Come on, man. Am I like your sister? She must be amazing. Is she beautiful? Is she your older sister or your younger sister? Okay, propagation of false individualism. Yeah, I mean, it's just, these like identity politics are just a way for people who are not that interesting to craft some kind of worldly identity. And this is the problem with worldly identities. They're meaningless. I was thinking about it today, like, even for me, like, what are these labels I still affix to myself? What are these things I still call and think of myself as? And like, why do I think they matter? Oh, Tar Baby Yoda's a white Chad. Oh, I had no idea. Hello, Chad. Frederick is black, a black pharaoh. Look, it was interesting because there was a conversation in one of the shows today about queens and queendom. And was it Rick that called in? I can't remember who Rick called. Did he call Nick? Whatever. But I remember them having a little conversation about queens, and they were like, a woman's not a queen until she, you know, has a king marries her. Da, da, da. And I'm like, well, what about like Elizabeth the First? Or what, Elizabeth II? Like, these women were sovereigns. So no, not necessarily. There are circumstances where a queen is who is in control, and she's the sovereign. And so that's how I see a queen. When I think, you know, when I think of a woman as a queen, like, yes, there are queens that are women who are married to kings, and then there's queens. So that is I was like, no, I mean, you're leaving out they're rarer, they're exceptional, but exceptional people should always be considered and validated, I feel. Oh, you blocked Freddie? This is funny. She was overweight. Oh, this is nice. She was the same age, about 40 now. She's good looking too. This is your sister? Are you comparing her to me? I used to be fat. Yep. So true. Very excellent. Identity as a substitute for self-realization. Indeed. Because yeah, it's a fruitless endeavor, isn't it? The pursuit of identity. Very fruitless. Very meaningless. Those were a bunch of gay guys on Nick's stream. They did look metro homosexual. What? What guys were those? I don't remember what you're talking about. Did he show us a video? I don't think I caught the whole show either. I think, yeah, I had to do some work while the show was going, so I did like pause it a few times. I may have missed some of it. I do have to work during the day, you know. I can only troll and pay attention to it for so long. I mean, I can usually have it on in the background, but unfortunately, I do have to do my job. I mean, I just don't. I try not to think about these things. Freddie loves to lie. What did Freddie lie to you about? Cecil would do well in Holland with her pastries and severe look. Does she have a severe look? The Dutch are very severe. I concur. I concur. I would say that about them. They're tall and severe. And their words are very long and confusing. Work it, girl. That is nice. Thank you. Thank you. That's fine. I mean, sometimes you have to block somebody. I had to block Earl. I felt bad too. I was thinking about Earl today. Sending prayers, thoughts and prayers for Earl Sanders, wherever you are. But you a dirty man, and I cannot continue to read the things you were saying to me in the JLP chat. It went too far. Oh, I dropped a pen. I talk shite about women's, but they're my kryptonite. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. You like Maze? I love Maze. She's adorable. I love imagining what she looks like too, as she sits there and talks to James. She is indeed adorable. I could just picture her, you know, she just seems like just amazing. Like, she just seems like the most amazing woman. Maze, amazing Maze. I love, she called it after Mark, and she's like, ask Mark what he was doing in the 60s. Oh, goodness. Ow, ow, ow. Oh, ugh. Body's a mess, y'all. My body's a mess. The Hollanders has a reputation of being blunt and off-putting. I mean, you know, just be you, okay? You can be yourself here in this live stream, all right? We don't have any expectations. You just be you. If it's off-putting, oh well, we will survive. Well, we'll see how that goes. Interesting. Okay, I mean, yeah, it's fair. Somebody has to be the jerk, right, of the team, you know. Somebody has to be the good one. Someone has to be the bad one. Yes, the Slavs are very, very severe, but they are quite dear to me. Mays needed more children. Interesting. Why do you think that? Did she not have enough? You think everyone needs to have more children. You told me I should have 10, as if that's even possible. as if that's even possible. Like what? Maybe maybe through technology I could be another Octomom. Good God. What am I drawing? I'm just drawing. I don't know what it is yet. We'll see. This is where it's at so far. We'll see where it goes. I don't know what it is just yet. We don't know what the drawing's going to be until it's done. If the US were more cohesive, perhaps it would be better, but it is too large a country. I hear Europeans say that all the time, but you know. I like that the US is different in different areas, that there's different cultures going on in the US. I think that's something exciting about it. I like being able to stay within my country and experience different kinds of people in different ways of life. I think that's exciting. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I don't even know what to say to this. What were you responding to? I was like, oh, do we want to go here with this topic? I agree with what Nick was saying, though. I think it's weird how she's being exploited right now. Obviously, her death was horrible, but it is weird, like seeing Marjorie Taylor Greene get all like, say her name about it. Like, okay, are you on that kick? Because, and also, I don't know. I mean, it is a phenomenon with like women that are killed. I remember when Reva Steenkamp was murdered by Oscar Pistorius. A lot of the news and media covering the case never mentioned her name, and there was a backlash to that because obviously this guy is famous, but she was the victim, and gosh, she was such a beautiful woman. It's so tragic. It really is. And so is this young woman. But yeah, it is weird seeing Marjorie get on that kick and all these other people. Like, is this the right way to go about this? I don't know. That's all. You need to start a drawing before the stream starts and decide what you want. Well, this drawing was started last night, or whenever I went on stream last. It might have been 2 nights ago, actually. I spend weeks on my drawings usually, so that's not the way I draw. Like usually, I mean, every now and then I'll think up an idea and just do the thing. But even then, those are projects that are going to take time. So most of my drawings are constructed over time by adding different elements, shapes, and colors, and then they eventually form whatever they're going to form. Hello to Cosmic Seaman. How you doing? I miss Stickham, man. What a ride. If people want to join me live, you're free to. I would love to have people on, but I think you can have up to 4 people here on StreamYard. But I do miss those live chats we used to do. They were really phenomenal, and I'm glad to see you. Yeah, I know. We're not alone. Oof. She's a funny one. She is a funny one. I do wonder. Sometimes I listen to Jesse and he's like, women need to stay out of politics. I'm like, yeah, we are making a mess of it. But then I look at the men and I'm like, they're not really any better. But I think being around the women isn't making them better either, too. I mean, there's something about that. I think that, they become feminized in some ways. Yeah, those were good times. I miss the Stickham days. I miss all the chats. Thomas, why are you bragging? Oh, in Holland, we have really nice dams. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Okay. But you know what they don't have in Holland? Us. Just I have seen though Holland like I've seen there was a woman I used to follow, but I had to unfollow because of her insane leftist politics. But she's a wheelchair bound woman, and she went on a trip to Europe to visit all of these different places that were accessible. And yeah, the footage that she shared in Holland looked really amazing. Like just everything, like the way the streets were constructed, like looking at it, I was like, oh my gosh, that looks so nice. It looks so comfortable to get around. Like you wouldn't get bumped around, like, because this is the thing, like every time I go over a bump in the sidewalk, right, that's like a lot of pain and rattling, and just the way that these streets and sidewalks were constructed, everything was like very smooth. It was heavenly looking. I was looking at it like, oof, nice. Yeah, I'm an artiste. I do these drawings, and I have my camera set up at the place where I do my drawings. So sometimes it's good for me to do them both at the same time. So it's fun because I have an interesting mix of like artists and people into politics and just random other people that subscribe to my videos. So it can be a pretty cool mix that we get here. And of course, because I've been around so long, people from way back in the day. So it's a good time. Terry, it is a vicious cycle of beta males and females all stinking up the place. That dude with 3 baby daddies. I mean, I assume you mean baby mamas today. Like, I remember that call. He said he was illiterate and he is making 6 figures. I'm like, okay, that's interesting. You're illiterate and you make 6 figures and you have 3 baby mamas. And he's like, should I knock up another woman? Like, dude, calm down. Aren't you tired? Like, you can't see any of your kids. Like, the math wasn't mathing with that call. The math didn't math to me. Did the math to you guys? Because it wasn't adding up to me. So show me how can I check your homework? It can be. It can really be very corrupting, and I think that's what we have in this country, a lot of rampant corruption, People who don't really care about anything other than, getting what they can get, asking what their country can do for them and not what they can do for it. And that's a really sad thing that the people who we elect to serve us have that attitude. And the people we don't elect that are supposed to be serving us as well. I do too. Yeah, we love America. Let me Google it real quick. Oh, you're such a hater. Okay, it's funny how each country talks, S word about the other, but in the US, we're always talking about the South. What the F, man? I mean, I don't know. I don't have much experience with the South, so I can't really comment on it. I do have to say I do enjoy Southerners that I've met, Southern people, like people from the South. I think a lot of them have I do like that they have manners, they're instilled with manners from an early age. So when they talk to people, they just conduct themselves properly a lot of the time. There's, not everybody from the South is this way, but I have noticed it. And I think that's something that's really lacking in, other parts of the country. You don't see that, especially from young people being instilled to say sir and ma'am and, please and thank you and to be considerate of others. So yeah, that is something I like about the South, Southern people. And also, I mean, parts of it look really beautiful. It just is too hot, Well, you're having fun and we don't know what you're drawing. You can kind of see it. You can kind of see it. You'll see it eventually. I will never, ever, 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 ever get on Discord. Okay? Discord. I ain't getting on that. Does that sound good to you, to be on a website or an app or whatever it is called Discord? Or does that sound like Satan's hell pit? I'm not going there. I'm not doing it. I like what to cough and laugh at the same time. Yo. For real. How is this guy still going? And how are you illiterate making six figures? Yeah, I mean, I suppose. Yeah, okay. But come on, tell me your secrets, dude. What kind of business did you build where you can't read or write? And how do you make six figures and still have woman problems? You couldn't make it work with your baby mamas. And you're trying to get another one. I want kids, I want family. Dude, you have a family. You have to figure out how, if it were me, and I would just be figuring, okay, setting up some kind of nest egg for my kids, setting up some kind of investment for them. Since I can't parent them, I'm not allowed to see them, whatever, I'd be thinking, okay, and I have this ability to make money. What can I invest in that I can leave to them when the time comes? If it were me, I wouldn't be thinking, where can I get another one? Where can I find another woman to knock up? And like, because like at that point, 4 kids with 3 different women, like you're not going to do too well. Like it's the likelihood of it. Like just statistically, you're not going to be doing too well. Your chances of being in a like stable relationship it doesn't add up. You need to be alone for a while and figure yourself out before you try to like even get involved with someone. Wes Anderson is a Southerner, Terry. You could be a Southerner. Where could I live in the South where the weather isn't horrible? Where could I live in the South where I wouldn't be like physically miserable from the heat and humidity? Aww. Aww. Yeah, see, I like when kids know that. I live in the South and I don't want to leave. Nice. I don't mind getting called ma'am. I don't get called ma'am. I was looking forward to it when I became a woman, but it just doesn't happen. Maybe one day I'll get ma'amed. Matthew, no, he still has demons to release. Women feel old when they're called ma'am. I don't know. I think that's a thing. Like I found I did have a few experiences where I called women ma'am and they reacted like, please don't call me ma'am. No. Like that's true. We are the greatest nation, aren't we, Tomas? Tomas, you were just repping for us. Terry could be a Southern belle if she understood that it's not sweat, it's a glow. Come to Houston. No, it's hot there. I could make a 6-figure income cutting commercial. That's true. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you could, but still, what about handling, like, there's just so many things to handle. Like, to me, it's like, without being able to read or write, like, who's handling that for you? Like, Tomas, you're sweet. Who will I be married to, huh? In Holland. Get on my little scooter and go to Holland. Dallas, interesting. Dallas. Is Dallas enjoyable? It seems like a strange Texan city. But I don't know. The weather in Texas is not so nice. Yeah, there's some Christmas tree farms on the drive here out to the coast. There's a couple of them. It's a very lucrative business. I don't say ma'am anymore. I don't have it in me now. Yeah, you probably got chewed out. Yeah, just pay an accountant, but still, it's still so risky. Terry, the cold weather there ain't nice. No, it isn't. I've been cold and tired. I don't like being cold. But I also don't like I do very badly in the heat as well. And I would rather be cold than be hot. Do you understand? Like when I'm hot, I'm even worse. I'm very sensitive to temperatures, but heat, I have a worse reaction to than cold. Oh, they have an art scene and everything. Oh, good. What decent city doesn't have an art scene? Terry is from Alaska, right? She could do Welk. Well, I am from Alaska, yes. Isn't cold the worst thing for your bones? Well, okay. It's my bones versus other systems in my body. So it's a trade-off. Okay, yes, it is hard. It's painful. The cold is painful. But then with the heat comes a bunch of other conditions, and I generally become very sick and lethargic in it. I just don't have any, it completely zaps me, you know, makes me very, I don't know, languid is the word maybe that I'm looking for. I don't deal well with it. I mean, I'm looking forward to warmer weather, but like once it goes past like 95 degrees, I get very sick. Did you literally give them the finger or did you give them the finger metaphorically? How did you give them the finger? At least you showed up to work. 4 a.m. I've done that. Ugh. 4 a.m. shifts. I've done 3:30. Ugh. Actually, that was amazing. I love those early morning shifts. I know, but even being inside, you know, when I lived in Arizona, I did live in Arizona for a few years, or not a few years, 2 years. It's awful. Like I'd be inside, I'd be laying down, and like the air con would be running, and I'd just be immobile. Like I can't deal with it. It's so debilitating. At least with the cold, even if it's like I'm in pain, I still get up and do things, you know? I'm not like bound, which is what heat does. It completely like strikes me down. So I have to be in a cooler climate. It's tough though, because yeah, it's a trade off. It's, you know, what I really need to do is become a snowbird. This is what I believe. I need to spend, you know, the summers up north and the winters in the south. And to do that would just be, you know, good for my body. I think that's what it must be. I think I must become one of those. I must fly south for the winter. She said, "Hey, John," and I gave him two fingers in the air. Oh, wow. It is your ego. I would go running in that heat. Literally, your ego is not accepting reality. I really don't know what you mean. What is my ego? I have a very delicate and like frail condition. I have a lot of spirit and that kind of thing, but I am very delicate and I wilt very easily. I have to treat myself delicately. Yes, that cottage was exceptional that we were gazing upon the other day. Was it in Spain? I could winter in Spain. We could be in Holland in summer and then in Spain in the winter. I think that would be fine. You work out 10 to 12 hours outside in the summer. I just get used to it and lose like 15 pounds. Well, I'm so glad that you all are so strong. We have such strong, well-constituted men in the chats, and I'm very glad of it. Alas, I do not share your constitution. Alas, have we gone through this? I'm wondering, was there anything else to say about the matter? Closing remarks. Let's wrap it up, I suppose. It is getting late, and I do need to wind down and unravel. That's right. Mind over matter. You go. It could not be me. It could not be me. And I just, I don't love it. Okay, Terry, good luck with the art. Oh, thank you. Yes. I'm excited about this piece. I like where it's going so far. I wasn't sure at first, but what we've put on today, I'm liking where it's going. I think it's going to be interesting looking once it's completed. I'm already having some other ideas of how to finish it. Yes, I'll show it to you all. Would you like to see how far we've gotten with it? You say they're frog eggs. Yeah, so this is where it's at so far, the drawing. Remember last time I made these frog eggs or cloud pattern, and now I came in with some orbs, and I've drawn some lines coming off of them that I'm going to fill with some patterns. And I'm thinking I might come in and we'll see next time, but I'm having some ideas already. If it was sci-fi, it would be the end of the universe with some supernovas. Yeah, sometimes my drawings look like that. Like, people always tell me that they look kind of like cellular, or they look like galaxies and universes, these drawings that I construct. I think, I would say they do kind of take those qualities on. They kind of look like cellular or building blocks, or kind of nebula materials, or I don't know. I mean, not all of them, obviously, but these pattern shape line art images that I end up doing, they end up kind of looking like that. It looks like white blood cells attacking something. Well, that's interesting, because I have an autoimmune disorder, so my white blood cells are kind of. Sometimes I wonder about that. I wonder about that, the condition that I have that causes me all this grief, right? That I was diagnosed with, I should say. Whatever this autoimmune thing that I'm going through is, It's interesting because I do think that about some of the art that I make, like some of the drawings. I sometimes think they're like happening inside me. If that makes sense. Like sometimes I look at them when they're done and I'm like, oh, this kind of looks like something in me. I don't know though. Maybe I have used plasma before. No, I've never taken plasma before. I had a friend take it and she had a horrible reaction, like watching it go into her body. I don't know if I would take that kind of therapy, like honestly, because the people I've met who've sold plasma, like they're usually in really dire straits, and it's kind of like, yeah, I don't want that energy going into my body unless it like would have to, but just that particular treatment. And my friend, she just had this like just horrible reaction. It was so awful to watch her body swell up when she took that stuff in. Did I hear that Alzheimer's is actually type 3 diabetes? Just heard it yesterday. Um, I mean, that makes sense. Like, I've known there was a connection between like Alzheimer's, dementia, and like, uh, yeah, those kind of systems that make sense. I didn't know that it was like, I didn't know, I hadn't heard it in that language. The insulin in the brain is cut off and memories aren't lost, just unreachable. Oh, wow. Okay, so the insulin in the brain is cut off. This is interesting because my grandmother had this, and it was like, you know, pretty difficult for family to deal with, her losing her mind in that way. It's difficult for anybody who has family dealing with it. So, oh, really? Yeah, okay. Okay, if your father had it or has it, I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, I know it. It's just, it's like steals the person from you. Like, so yeah, I think it's something to be mindful of. Ugh. Well, it's good news. It is good news. That is good news, isn't it? Because that means, it's could be treatable. He never took care of his blood. Oh dear. Oh dear. Yeah, it's interesting. These different disorders, these different things. Oh, your grandpa has it. I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, it's very common now. It's frightening. It is frightening to think. He is a real character. And he actually is still good with blackjack. Yeah, it's interesting too. Yeah, people with it tend to become like more childlike in some ways, or they revert to the older memories are more, they're better ingrained, I guess. So those memories from childhood, those formative memories are a bit more accessible. So people can, from what yeah. Mm, it's interesting. What an experience. But it is, God, it has to be so hard for their friends and, friends, family, life. It becomes so, dangerous too with them. It's, mm, man, goodness. Well, some good news. We ended on a positive note. I should get out of here and wish you all well. And maybe I will run into some of you tomorrow in the internet world, or maybe not. But until next time, I will. Yeah. Until next time. Bye.